Welcome. You have entered the realm of 1111 Talk Radio. Your host is Simran. It's time to discover your own language with the universe. Empower yourself, broaden your mind, open your heart, and discover who you are. Now, here's your host, Simran.
Hello and welcome. I hope you have had a wonderful week. There's certainly been a lot going on in the world, and it has had me thinking a lot about feminine power and the rise of that feminine power, or what it means to be divine feminine, and where that origination stemmed from. There's so many theories about how femininity lost power and has had to regain power, and even the ways in which women or our egos have told us we must stand in our power, which can sometimes actually be disempowering or masculine. But there's a sense of power that is innate and deep within us that we all have access to, but it requires a certain level of grounding, devotion, and mystery. It means that we must allow ourselves to move beyond who we think we are and step past some of the notions of what it means to be human and what it means to serve. I'm really excited about the show that we're having today. It is one about divine feminine power, but its use for personal healing and planetary awakening. And when you think of those words, you might not think of Mother Mary, but she's the epitome of what that means, the epitome of service, perhaps the epitome of a bodhisattva, of someone that came to the earth knowing that this was a time that a degree of feminine power and service and presence was required. And so I was really excited to read a book that is titled The Secret Life of Mother Mary, Divine Feminine Power for Personal Healing and Planetary Awakening by Marguerite Mary Rigoglioso. And she poses some questions within the book. How do we identify with a female whose main attribute has been celibacy? A female whose perfection and purity are held as impossible models for behavior. A female who is obedient, docile, and deferring to all the males around her, including a God who decided that she was going to be the one without seeming to have gained her consent. Marguerite Rigoglioso wants to help people open to a fuller vision of Mary, and therefore new ways of being in relationship with her, and to realize that Mary is available to help us move into the fifth dimensional consciousness that so many people are talking about right now. And this refers to a consciousness in which we are fully integrated in this material world, while also accessing ever deeper realms of knowing. A consciousness that incorporates a soulful sacred heart of compassion and love, which the world needs now more than ever. A consciousness in which all of the energy centers of the human body, from root to crown, are operating at 100% capacity. But to do this, we must move out of our distraction, our denial, our dishonoring, and our own inner deception about who we are and what we are. Marguerite Mary Rigoglioso, Ph.D., is the world's foremost authority on the history of virgin birth and has taught graduate and undergraduate courses in the United States and United Kingdom. The founding director of Seven Sisters Mystery School, she is the author of several books, including The Mystery Tradition of Miraculous Conception. And today we are talking about The Secret Life of Mother Mary. Welcome, Marguerite, to 1111 Talk Radio. It's an honor to have you here.
Simran, thank you so much. What a beautiful introduction. I really appreciate that.
Well, I think that with religious texts, with story, with the degree to which people know about religion or what's been written or what's been interpreted, in reading the book, it seems to me that very few truly understand or know Mary, much less her power, her presence, and her own devotion as a master teacher.
Exactly. And that's really why I wrote the book, because I started out as a researcher about virgin birth, discovering it as an actual priestess practice throughout the ancient Mediterranean and Aegean world and Middle East. And of course, very soon came upon Mary, but understood she wasn't the only one who was accomplishing this. And as I delved deeper into, well, then who is Mother Mary? I found all sorts of textual information and other kinds of mystical understandings about her that I realized needed to be brought to the public light in a very readable way. We've had some of our scholars who have uncloaked her in ways that are a little more technical and detail oriented, but I wanted to bring in readability. I wanted to bring in the mystery of Mother Mary, the esoteric nature of what she was up to, and the personal, both from myself and for others, so that people can understand how she was, is, and shall be a living presence that's available to us.
I've always had quite an intimate awe and connection with Mother Mary, and that relationship deepened so much after some trauma with my own two children and the amount of grief and loss that took place there. And I often looked at her as this incredibly strong and powerful woman that was able to stand there in witness of not only the suffering of Jesus, but whatever suffering and grief she must have experienced during that time. And yet, after reading your book, something really shifted in that, because there was now this new face of Mary that I had not known. And you write that her passion is not just about suffering, but instead relates to her love of others, her desire to bring healing to humanity, her care for planet Earth, and the fire of her own sensuality and sexuality. And so, talk a little bit about that time of Mary seeing Jesus on the cross, the human portion of what that grief and loss must have felt like through the process and the loss, and yet the masterful knowing of what was to come, what was so much bigger that
Yeah.
was going to take place. Because it seems like that's part of the division within each of us, and we get caught up so much in the human part that we miss the opportunity and the doorway to open to what mastery is available to us. And she's such a great model for that.
Yes, because, Simran, she walked the earth walk. She lived in a human body. And according to my belief system and what I have learned from the late Hindu saint Sri Kaleshwar, she had many, many lifetimes. So she had reincarnated again and again, perfecting herself in this human walk until at the final lifetime where we know her as Mary, she was able to she was able to live with the greatest amount of peace, love, and equanimity, and be a catalyst and a guide for others and healer. And she was also able to make what we would call her apotheosis, or her final ascension, where she merged herself with the fabric of the universal creative mother. And from there, she could maintain her identity as Mother Mary as we know her, or in the multiple ways that we know her, while also being this giant, female creator being of our entire universe and even the fabric of our bodies, let's say. So the earth walk for her and what I call the sacred family was really very much about helping humans to awaken to the light that is intrinsic within them, the angelic Sophia light, if you will. That was what they were walking around teaching, was to help everybody awaken to what's already within us. It's not even that they were here to give us something. It's just that they were here to help us uncloak ourselves. And so they had to go through these very human experiences. And Mother Mary had to go through the worst thing that a mother can go through on the planet, which is to lose a child. So she went through that initiation. She lived it in living color. And Jesus went through the sacrificial death which is it's a very high role of an adept who is giving himself over for the clearing of a lot of karma, if you will, of humanity. And there was a very great mystery cycle that was going on there. But the human and the divine were really merged within them, because they were trying to show us how the human and divine is really merged within us. So everything that happens in our lives is an opportunity for spiritual exploration, spiritual deepening, spiritual understanding. And I think that the same was really true for Mother Mary, watching her son be violently crucified, at the time of the Roman Empire.
That brings up 2 points for me. Number one, it really anchors in this idea of the level of patience that we must have, that they came at that time to support all of us in this greater step towards compassion, love, and peace, which has taken so much time even to get here, and we're not there yet, but we have more and more people that are working towards that. And second is that Jesus, of course, was never a passive participant. He knew why he was here.
Yeah.
And now, neither was she. She was in no way passive to her conception, nor to her willingness to go through what she would eventually have to succumb to.
Yeah. Yeah. This is what's called the Earth Walk. And for Mother Mary anyway, it was familiar territory in that she'd been here again and again. There are theories that it was Jesus' first incarnation as his particular being, although these people they're recurring themes on the planet. So you can find them coming to different cultures with different names and different stories, but it's all about helping humanity to heal from some great traumas that have been inflicted on us, and to come back again to our original angelic nature, and to live from that place, to restore the new Eden, let's say. So these people are, and now masters are a great resource, and they're not the only one available. So I want to make it clear that my work is not about like re-Christianizing the world. It's just about using a resource that's been available to us and that has reached many people through good, bad, and in different ways. But they are names that are recognizable, and there are qualities that are accessible. And so they can serve large numbers of people to help us. But, in other traditions, it might be Kuan Yin or Krishna, or, the host of masters in Africa or any of the other continents, right? So this is about understanding them as part of this larger living stream of intelligences and beings who are in service to humanity, who realize that, we've been in some kind of deep crisis for quite some time, and that there is an opportunity now through this divine timing for more and more of us to awaken to our true nature, and then to be living higher quality lives while we're alive, and then deciding what we want for our souls when we're going to cross out of our body.
I really appreciate you bringing forth the concept of other avatars that have come forth to support in this very high mission, and how that oneness of different streams is actually what is pulling all of the energy forward. Mary is certainly that depiction of the Great Mother, and I think symbolizes for many, whether of the Christian faith or not, that very high symbol. You spoke about the many lifetimes to prepare, and I loved how you placed in the book her own education really began from a young age. It was something that was cultivated from early on, all the way to the point of the Immaculate Conception, that she was prepared physically, emotionally, mentally, energetically, even in devotional practices, to be able to participate in Earth's and life's story in this way, and that she was not the only one. Talk a little bit about the preparation from the time she was a child.
Yeah. Well, the real kicker there is that her mother, who we find out in one of the suppressed gospels, commonly known as the Infancy Gospel of James, her mother, who has come down to us with the anglicized name Anne, originally Hannah in the Hebrew, was also a very high-level adept priestess who practiced divine birth. And toward her latter years, she was able to accomplish this by conceiving and giving birth to Mother Mary without any male actor or participant except her partner, Joachim, who was off in the desert, kind of doing his own vision quest while she was conceiving Mother Mary. So this advent of the sacred family is really a plan that goes back, hundreds of years. I mean, there's this one sacred oracle woman, Lavender, who says it took 500 years for them to plan this, with the timing of their incarnation. So Mother Mary was already a divinely conceived avatar by her mother. So she came in a very elevated state, because these children are like star seeds on acid, very high level functioning children. And she started showing signs of her prowess very early on. And then she was trained by her mother and virgins from the temple. This is a different kind of Judaism than we're used to hearing about, but these threads and streams of Judaism were going on at the time. She's trained by these virgins. She's purified. She's trained in the dances, in the songs, in all of the esoterics that are needed from infancy. And then she's given over to the temple where these virgins dwell at age 3 for the rest of her education, which is basically preparing her to be this priestess of divine birth, who, it turns out, was of such a high nature that she was able to bring in one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful, avatar onto the planet to help humanity. But she is joined in this not only by her mother, Anne, but her relative, Elizabeth, who, according to research I've done, may well be her mother's sister. Elizabeth, who was the mother of John the Baptist, also through divine conception. So Jesus and John the Baptist walked around as these high holy avatars, clearing and baptizing people, opening their consciousness, helping them develop peace and love within their heart, and so forth. And it really was a family affair, and there were others besides those, but they were very much in a plan together to really help humanity at that point in the Roman Empire move this situation along significantly.
Now, when you speak about this legacy, this tradition, this passing of such a powerful wisdom from one generation to another, you spoke about Joachim playing his role. And even in the book, you speak about Sarah's husband, Abraham, playing a certain role in that taking place. So what is the male role in this powerful process?
The male role is guardian, protector, supporter, financially and every other way, of these high holy virgin priestesses. It is a kind of a marriage, but it's debatable as to whether these couples were having any kind of conjugal relations at all. I think that these men were simply companions, supporter companions of these women, who would also work with them energetically from afar, supporting them in their conception rituals and so forth. So I see Joachim's presence in the desert as being a distant support of what Anne was doing to conceive Mary in her own garden. And there are similar kinds of descriptions that I have in my previous book, The Mystery Tradition of Miraculous Conception, about Sarah and Abraham, the biblical Sarah and Abraham, Sarah then giving birth to Isaac miraculously, right? And the same with Elizabeth, who had Zechariah, who was basically the head of whatever that Hebrew temple was at the time that's being described in the infancy gospel of James. Again, a protector male, a support energetically, that kind of thing.
And when we look at the, the world today, and we look at the subtitle of your book, The Secret Life of Mary, and the subtitle is Divine Feminine Power for Personal Healing and Planetary Awakening, it begs the question of, what does this have to do with us? And what does this have to do with right now? And you open up the book talking about your own story and what you were moving through. And you write, Mary could reconceive and regestate me in her womb. She could re-raise me as a child. She could re-guide me as an adolescent. As I explored these possibilities, I connected with Mary. Talk a little bit about what this means practically for us right now, or for women as they want to deepen into their own mystery and mysticism.
Yeah. I mean, the very fabric of the Secret Life of Mother Mary book is interactive. It's not meant just as a historical document. Isn't that interesting? It's meant to open doorways and our own vision and understanding of what's possible for us as women and what's possible for all of us, whatever our gender identification. Mother Mary is like a double or triple support system. She can be your personal healer and mother. She can be your guide in this lifetime, your spiritual guide in this lifetime. And she can be your mentor and awakener for higher level consciousness and the evolution of your soul, right? All three of those things go together. And I talk in the book, The Secret Life of Mother Mary, about how we can do that. In fact, I offer examples from my own life as well as guided meditations at the end of each chapter that correspond with the theme of the chapter so that people can have a living experience of Mother Mary in one of these various themes, just to be held by her deeply, to experience her as that personal mother, as well as that planetary and galactic guide, if you will. So the book is meant to be very interactive, and this is also why I continue to offer courses and things through Seven Sisters Mystery School, including the Mary and Magdalene priestess training that's enrolling right now as of this recording in September 2024. It will be starting because I want people to have next step opportunities for their personal healing and their spiritual awakening.
And when it comes to that personal healing, it's as much about learning to receive the mothering, to return to that place of compassion and love, as well as it is to step into the power of being that.
That's right. Because you have to fill your own well in order to be able to give other people water, So it is a wonderful experience to feel Mother Mary as the perfect mother that most of us never had. And in the book, I describe that I am a striking case study of the loss of the mother, in that my mother crossed out of her body due to lupus when I was 10 years old. And so as a result of that, I had an acute feeling of mother loss. But this is really only a mirror of the mother loss that really almost all people have globally, because most of us have been cut off from a sacred feminine figure as a divinity. With some exceptions, but even in those countries and cultures, the vibration has been ratcheted down on the energy and the importance of the sacred feminine in whatever form you're going to talk about her. She's always somehow demoted, right? And so the book is really about us reconnecting with the mother on the personal level, as well as on the cultural and global level. And that is a process, as you alluded to at the very beginning of this conversation, that we are all needing to undergo as a planet, the return to our mother.
Examining apocryphal texts as well as revelations from respected contemporary seers, Marguerite Rigoglioso presents an extraordinary new understanding of Mother Mary and shows how her wisdom can help those on the spiritual path. Marguerite explores largely ignored periods of Mary's life, including her time as a leader of the early Christian community and the supreme teacher to other spiritual teachers, including Jesus and his beloved companion, Mary Magdalene. She looks at Mother Mary's teachings of love, compassion, and inner power, and reveals how it was her achievement of remarkable yogic powers and womb abilities that enabled her to conceive Jesus in a highly advanced way and resurrect his body. She also examines Mary's assumption into heaven and explains how her powers as a great spiritual master enabled her to transform into a goddess at the end of her time on earth. My guest again is Marguerite Rigoglioso, and she is the author of The Secret Life of Mother Mary, Divine Feminine Power for Personal Healing and Planetary Awakening. You can find out more about her at sevensistersmysteryschool.com. And alongside the book, she gives you a link where you can access meditations, where you open up to some of these initiations, these understandings, and these activations to connect with Mother Mary. And alongside that, directly related to the book, she is launching the Mary Magdalene Priestess Training, which is beginning on September 10th. You can enroll between now and any time in September to take part in that. And you would go to the homepage of sevensistersmysteryschool.com to access that. Once again, my guest is Marguerite Rigoglioso, and we are talking about The Secret Life of Mother Mary. We'll be right back after these messages.
Follow Voice America at Facebook.com/Voice America for juicy updates from your favorite radio shows and podcasts.
Have you seen 1111? Do you wonder why certain numbers keep showing up in your life? 11, 111, 22, 33, 444. People all over the world are seeing 1111 and learning the language of universal communication. Subscribe to 1111 Magazine today. www.1111mag.com. 1111 Magazine is a bi-monthly print publication that offers a rich, multi-sensory experience. As you engage with experts and topics of consciousness, become enlightened, empowered, and energized, so you live a passionate and authentic life of conscious choices. 1111 Magazine, a daily staple for lifting the mindset, discovering the heart, and stepping into conscious living. 1111 Magazine. Order now at www.1111mag.com. 1111mag.com.
Do you want more? More joy, more abundance, more power and presence? How would it feel to have more loving relationships? More empowered community, greater fulfillment, and life purpose? The 1111 Mastermind community inspires, empowers, guides, and supports transformation. Shift your mind, expand your heart, deepen insights, let go and chart a new course. Dream a new dream. The 1111 Mastermind community is an online portal for personal transformation and soulful expansion. Go to courses.1111mag.com. That's courses.1111mag.com. Change begins with you. Let it be simple, convenient, and transformative. The time is now. Step through the 1111 gateway. Courses.1111mag.com.
Live up to your fullest potential. This is the Voice America Empowerment Channel.
You are listening to 1111 Talk Radio. Simran is an award-winning author, publisher of 1111 Magazine, powerful speaker of wisdom, and a life mentor. Find out more at IamSimran.com. Now, back to 1111 Talk Radio.
To gain free access to the beautiful collection of guided meditations accompanying each chapter of The Secret Life of Mother Mary, you can register at the link that is enclosed within the book. As you move through, it'll be supportive and assist you in anchoring more into the information that's being shared, as well as your connection to Mary. You can sign in there, and she will have you go deeper into that meditation process and allow you to spend some time writing about your experiences as you move forward. And as you move through this journey, you may want to connect with Marguerite Rigoglioso at her Facebook page, which is Seven Sisters Mystery School on Facebook, along with going to her website, sevensistersmysteryschool.com, and finding out about the new upcoming teaching and training that is taking place. It is the Mary Magdalene Priestess training beginning on September 10th, where you can deepen into your process as well as your own power and presence with this type of work. There are some other books by Marguerite, which are The Mystery Tradition of Miraculous Conception, Mary and the Lineage of Virgin Births, along with The Cult of Divine Birth in Ancient Greece, Virgin Mother, Goddess of Antiquity, and the book that we are discussing here, The Secret Life of Mother Mary, Divine Feminine Power for Personal Healing and Planetary Awakening. Over the past 2,000 years and more, the message of the Marys and Jesus is being felt more strongly across the planet. We can advance to full divinity within ourselves and become the living avatars our world needs. Mary is hardly the passive girl who allowed the divine to have its way with her. As we have been brought up to accept, this is a mature woman with gumption, courage, intelligence, and leadership capacities that we've never been told about. This is from the book, The Secret Life of Mother Mary by Marguerite Mary Rigoglioso. I invite you to find out more at sevensistersmysteryschool.com. You know, when we think of Mary, Marguerite, and we think about this young girl going in a cave and having a baby and having all, the three kings come and then rearing this individual who is to be so special on this planet. And we look at the quiet life she must have led in many ways, and yet the very active life she must have led also. It might make some people think that she knew all along what was going to happen, but we are human. How much of it do you feel like was a mystery to her that had to unfold, but that the training that she received gave her the patience, the devotion, and the wisdom to know the steps to take?
Yeah, that is a great question. And I have thought about it before, Simran. My intuition is that because they were high-level beings, they were able to see multiple timeline possibilities of how things might go. They knew that they were bringing forth an information that was like a lightning rod, would attract all sorts of things. Again, good, bad, and ugly. And that they were taking a risk by bringing this vibration and this information to the planet in the way they did. They knew that it could be hijacked, subverted, twisted, all sorts of things, all of which it was, unfortunately. I think that they were aiming for a better timeline, but they knew that it might not go that way. And so they were preparing for any eventuality, again, through these practices that they were doing. I describe in The Secret Life of Mother Mary, Mother Mary's prayer life, which really started at 2 a.m. and went into the early part of the day. Her meditations, probably the mantras that she was doing, her oracle conversations with Mother Divine and so forth, her planning, as well as her own empowerments. So they were developing tremendous yogic powers that had to do with the ability to accomplish seemingly miraculous things, like healings, like bringing the dead back to life, like having mastery over the elements, earth, air, fire, water, and so forth. So they were practicing. They had numerous influences throughout their lives. It is said that Jesus went to India. That might have happened a couple of times in his life and so forth. So they were collecting and gathering to really strum the harp of their inner divinity to become fully alive. And I think that when they saw that it was going to go a bad way, they just knew they had to buckle up for the ride. Now, there is another theory that, like Victoria Lepage provides in the book, The Mysteries of the Bride Chamber, that Jesus actually knew and cultivated that he was going to be the king to be sacrificed, that this was part of an ancient mystery practice, that it was kind of a periodic clearing for humanity and so forth, and that he actively helped to make it happen with Judas, in that betrayal, that he would be arrested and eventually crucified or killed in some way. So there's that possibility to think of. Whatever the case may be, what they were showing us is that even in the most arduous, hellacious travail, you can stick to your divine presence, your divine choices. You can change things around even as they're happening, and you can create a different outcome. And so the ultimate of that would be Jesus' resurrection, which, as I describe in The Secret Life of Mother Mary, we are taught by this saint, this late Hindu saint, Sri Kaleshwar, that because she had cultivated her womb powers to such an extent, she was literally able to rebirth Jesus after his broken body was taken from the cross. And he and she had been working with these advanced yogas about where to park the soul, how to bring the soul back in, that sort of thing, that she literally restored him. Now, whether that was on the astral plane, she gathered his soul parts, or whether she literally brought his body to life and then he went to India, which is something that Sri Kaleshwar implies, whatever the case may be, we're talking about a tremendous womb power. And the point here is that Sri Kaleshwar was opening the door for other women to be able to understand, and all people to be able to understand this womb power and gain it for themselves through mantra and yantra or sacred diagram practices that I have been trained to teach, that I offer as well, that the Divine Mother Center, which is the repository in the US of Sri Kaleshwar's information, is teaching, and others. So this is not about Mother Mary being this unusual avatar who could do these wild things and, well, that's all nice. What does that have to do with us? It's that her abilities are available to all of us. This is part of it. This is part of the awakening of the light body, of the wisdom body, of the love body.
You write in the book, Sri Kaleshwar's message about the Blessed Mother can be boiled down to this: Mary was the closest to perfect human incarnation of the great goddess he called Mother Divine. This rendered her the highest level holy person who ever walked the planet, someone who possessed even greater power than her son Jesus. That's a pretty powerful statement, because most people, I don't think, regarded her in that way. They regarded her compassion, her unconditional love, the sacrifice that she made, but I don't know that she was ever really revered as this powerful a master that took part in the ways you've said, in terms of not only the birth of Jesus in that Immaculate Conception, but then the resurrection that would take place, and the rearing of him to have his mind focused and disciplined and on course. Because as we see in the world today, it is very easy to become distracted, to allow the ego to run away with oneself. I'd like for you to add anything about that alongside with how do women taking your training or delving into this work not let it be about their ego?
Right. So, as you were describing the Mother Mary that Sri Kaleshwar describes as being the greatest living being on the planet ever, it was really bringing tears again to my eyes when I first heard that information. It was the summer of 2017, July. I was at the Divine Mother Center learning the Holy Womb Chakra teachings from Sri Kaleshwar's senior teacher, Cindy Lindsay, whom I honor greatly. And there was one module, the fourth day of it, where she uttered all of that and more, and about how Mother Mary resurrected Jesus through her womb. And we were weeping. I mean, it was so powerful, and it felt like truth. It felt like just the next step that I needed to make. I had already gone on this path of the stones. I had led myself to the understandings of the sacred feminine and women's power. And now there was the next stone. Mother Mary was the greatest avatar who walked the planet. And this is something open to all of us. And I took that leap onto that stone. That's where I am. And that's where I want to invite other people to be. Because there is a truth, a maxim that's in the Gospel of Philip, one of those suppressed Gnostic Gospels, that says that you see the avatar or the master or the god or goddess as you are. And as you raise either your own sense of yourself or your own understanding of the master, you raise up. So in this book, I'm helping us to raise up our understanding of Mother Mary as this incredible walking human being who achieved goddesshood, and as a beacon and a pathway for all of us, so that once we start holding that possibility, yes, a woman can be that. She can be that, what Sri Kaleshwar calls in the Hindu tradition, the Bhairavi Mata. Then we open the door for ourselves. You have to see it to believe it. And you have to believe it to see it, as those adages have been going in the spirituality movement for a few decades now. So we are raising up our understanding and the possibilities of Mother Mary as the greatest avatar, as the greatest master, so that we can open our doors to our own mastery. And in terms of my training, the Mary and Magdalene priestess training, because I'm talking about both of those beings and both of those names as really being priestess titles. Mary is a priestess title, Magdalene is a priestess title, and the two Marys work together with other Marys. I'm talking about ways to raise our vibration through a series of initiations we're going to be going through, and understandings of Mother Mary, seeing that bigger picture of Mother Mary, seeing that bigger picture of Mary Magdalene, opening our own doorways to our inner temples. And the way that we are going to mitigate against hubris or, just getting too ahead of ourselves is through a character development process that we're undergoing, drawing off the shelves the good old-fashioned 7 virtues, but retranslating them into what they really are. So judgment, becomes discernment, right? And, all these other virtues, developing a higher vibration within ourselves so that we know at any given moment whether we're coming from wounding or whether we're coming from authentic light. Because I don't even feel that it's really ego that's the problem. It's the wounded human soul that is the one that acts out or doesn't act in balance with itself or with others or with nature, So we're doing deep levels of healing in this training. We're doing elevation of our character, and we are doing light activations and initiations to develop qualities such as hands-on healing, how to do baptisms, how to do anointings, those kinds of things that allow us either in our personal lives or in a larger ministry, should we decide to step out, we can be empowered. And the interesting thing, Simran, is that I have women from all levels coming to this training, from just starting out to very seasoned women. And they're all there because they sense that in this material is something they haven't quite heard before. And it is about this picture of Mother Mary. Yes, also Mary Magdalene. And we have already been talking about Mary Magdalene for 40 years now. But Mother Mary, that's a new doorway. People need those codes. They need that information and they need those possibilities. And that's all of what we are going to be exploring through this Mary and Magdalene priestess training to make it alive for people and applicable to our lives.
Now, the training that you have, based on what you've just said, I'm assuming it is for only women. But I also want to go to a statement that you have in the book where you say, Keleshwar makes it clear, however, that although only a woman has a womb chakra on the physical level, a man possesses a womb chakra at the soul level. So is this work something that a man himself can cultivate within?
Yes, the Holy Womb Chakra teachings that I offer are open to people of any gender identity, okay? And the men work it in their own way, where they're focusing on an energetic point within their body, known as the Nada Bindu point, an inch and a half below the navel, a floating point. And they are also focusing on their relationship with their mother, their relationship with women in their lives, that kind of thing. The priestess training right now is only open to women. We went back and forth because we do have some wonderful sacred men who have been with us on this journey for a number of years through my monthly Mary and Magdalene empowerments training and my cacao ceremonies and things like that. But we made a decision just to have this particular container, at least this year, just be with women, because we feel there's something that the women themselves need to accomplish in their own temple. And then we can see what this might be for men or with men going into the future. But there's a critical restoration that women are needing right now, almost in their own domain or safety. You know, the Native Americans do the same thing. They have the women's council and the men's council and the women's events and the men's events, and then they come together. But it is important for men and women to have their own cadres and their own experiences from time to time. And this just happens to be one of them, this priestess training.
Thank you. You also have in the book, you refer to the Pleiades, and you write that the seven sisters of the Pleiades have been known worldwide since antiquity as seven starseed mothers of the human race, female beings who birthed lineages on our planet and whose DNA runs through all of humanity. Is Mother Mary part of this lineage of Pleiades, and is that part of the recognition that we are all here to embrace and open to?
Yes, I believe so. And, you know, I started receiving an understanding of this by deciphering the codes in the infancy gospel of James about her birth and her upbringing, which originally was called Birth of Mary. That was the original name of the gospel, of course. And there's another way that women's names and issues get disappeared by scholars and others. But I was already discerning the connection with the Pleiades and the doves with Mother Mary, because the Pleiades are envisioned as doves. Mother Mary is envisioned as a dove, or receiving light or food from the doves. And what is that? And then when I connected with William Henry, who's a really wonderful mythologist, historian, producer, and all sorts of things, he and I, our work connected. He discovered my work on divine birth, and then we spoke, we taught together, and will in this training again about the Pleiades relationship. He really helped me understand that the Marian mission is part of the Pleiadian mission. And then at a later time, when I was in an open oracle state, because I work with sacred medicines and really open my channel there, I received that. So the Pleiades are known as the seven doves, or the seven starseed mothers, those who descended from the Pleiades to come to the earth and give virgin birth to start lineages on the planet and then spread that high vibrational Pleiadian DNA to all humanity. What I received is that Mary is the eighth dove. She's the eighth Pleiad. She's the eighth sister in this great mission. And her gift was Jesus, whereas these other women, gave children in the form, they have other names in different cultures and so forth. So they're all part of the same mission, which is a mission of awakening of our hearts, awakening of our consciousness, awakening of our womb powers, and bringing all of that together in service to the great healing of humanity so that we can move out of a planet that is focused generation after generation on trauma and into a planet that is focused on more joyful living and, co-creating the kind of earth we really want to be in and deserve and are worthy of.
You also brought up Mary Magdalene, and in the book you talk about this union of two and what each of these women brought forth. And then you speak about the Trinity of Marys. We have just a couple of minutes left on the show, but can you briefly introduce what each of these Marys bring to this healing of the planet?
So Mother Mary is the great mother, the great ascended woman who, had her final apotheosis into the divine and is a guardian of humanity. Mary Magdalene, who has taken steps in that regard and is with us as a sister friend, like a tower. Her name really means tower, helping us to connect up with the higher dimensions in a way that we can really identify with her. And she and Mother Mary work together as a kind of a tag team, if you will. The third Mary is Mother Mary's sister Mary, also named Mary because this was a priestess title. And I talk about who this Mary is in The Secret Life of Mother Mary. But briefly, she is another of Anne's children, the other child who raised up to the level of this Mary consciousness. And so the three of them, we are told in the Gospel of Philip, always walked with Jesus. They were his companions, supporters. They helped protect him. They helped, Mary Magdalene brought in money for him. And so they were like a triangle, like a trinity around him, essentially. And they all walked together to be spreading this ministry of love and awakening. So there's more to be said about all those Marys, and there is in the book and in the Mary and Magdalene priestess training, if people would like to jump in for that.
And ultimately, I guess what the book really does illustrate is that Mary was Jesus's teacher, that she was a wealth of wisdom in her own right, and that she was bringing forth a lineage of teachings and practices that had been passed down through generations for her to live out the purpose for which she came.
That's right. And that really shifts things, and people can get quite angry. I've seen people respond on YouTube videos, what do you mean, Jesus is the great one, how dare you? It's so evolutionary to say that Mother Mary could have been Jesus' teacher. Now, clearly, when you're at that high level, you're both each other's teachers. We're all teachers for one another, right? But she, Sri Kalashwar tells us, actually taught Jesus in the womb. How? Through her continual mantra practice, her meditation practice, the conveying telepathically of information and light codes into Jesus' DNA, and then, raising him. They were soulmates, according to Sri Kaleshwar, and really, you see it in the ancient, in the old biographies of Mother Mary, like the history of the Virgin and so forth. They were really tied at the hip. They were not lovers, but they were energetic soulmates. They got along, they supported one another. Jesus, according to Sri Kaleshwar, always called upon Mother Mary's energy and name before he did healings and so forth. So this is a whole different view of how we can hold these great beings, one that brings the feminine up in a way that it's needing to be brought up now for really the healing of our world.
The very final prayer Mary uttered while still in her physical body was demonstrated the role that she would maintain in her ascended state for all humans as the great Mother of Mercy. She asks for something sorely needed on the planet, that the bad times cease on earth, including pestilence, death, captivity, the sword, and famine. Marguerite contends that she knew this would be a long-term process that would require patience, fortitude, and the full awakening of humanity. The deeper meaning of this is that those who made the effort to connect with her essence would benefit from her healing energies and wisdom. She was indicating that she was available to offer her gifts of illumination, and that this is what would bring about the great transformation of the earth plane. If you'd like to find out more about Marguerite Rigoglioso and her various books, including The Secret Life of Mother Mary, Divine Feminine Power for Personal Healing and Planetary Awakening, go to sevensistersmysteryschool.com, access the meditations, and find out about the Mary Magdalene Priestess training that is coming up. Thank you, Marguerite, for being on 1111 Talk Radio. Until next week, I am Simran, in love, of love, with love, and as love. Be well.
Thank you for opening your mind to a new reality, your heart to greater compassion, and your experience of aliveness with 1111 Talk Radio. Join host Simran next Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern Time to step through the gateway of conscious living here on the Voice America Empowerment Channel. Remember, you are not on the journey. You are the journey.